up against a former national champion here?
Yeah, definitely.
I would be too. I'm nervous standing next to the guy in his presence. They're both actually incredible competitors. They're both 4-0 right now, so neither of them has a loss throughout the entire day. How do you guys feel about being on the main stage? Is there a little added pressure there, Aaron?
Yeah, I think a little bit, but it's funny because Paul and I have played maybe 10 different times this year because we're always at our local tournaments together, so it's just another run. But I think it'll be fun because our matches are always really good.
All right, it sounds like it's going to be pretty good. Paul, any final words before you head over there?
Nah, I got nothing.
Oh, man, not even a little trash talk? All right. Well, I can tell you these guys are ready to go. I think we're going to send it back to the commentators. See you in a second, guys, with an awesome match.
Yeah, definitely two of our most seasoned players here in this first round. Actually, the 5th round of Swiss. Really fun to have the 2013 senior national champion up against the 2011 and 2012. As soon as Aaron graduated into the Masters division, Paul took over. And now they're both in Masters playing undefeated. Not terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fun in a number of angles. One thing too is that the split between the junior-senior master division happened in 2011. So these are they have three of the 4 like modern era senior national championships between them.
Yeah, and it should be an exciting match. And I don't want to wait any longer. We are going to get right into the first round of this, the 5th Swiss round. Aaron Zheng versus Paul Chua. And of course, we will be looking from Aaron's side, so you'll be able to see Paul's team on your screen in a matter of moments. Paul is running a team that he's pretty well known for, an archetype that most people are comfortable seeing Paul run. That's Politoed, Ludicolo, Aegislash, Salamence, Thunderous, and Terrakion. Up against Aaron, who's running his trademark Wash Rotom, Landorus, Amoonguss, Salamence, Tyranitar, and Aegislash.
Yeah, I really love the teams on both sides. I think it's kind of an underestimated part of making your team for an event, and not just having a great team, having a team that fits you as a player. Especially at this point in the season where we're kind of the format switched in January, so we're at least 6 full months into this format, and players have had a lot of chance to practice. But you play a whole bunch of different teams typically over the course of the season. I think at the national championships and moving forward to the world championships, a lot of doing well is finding what you're good at, what fits you as a player, and working with it. Paul's famous for using rain teams like Politoed and Ludicolo there. Aaron, like you mentioned, his trademark Pokemon Wash Rotom. Hopefully he'll have a little bit better luck with it.
Just a little bit, hopefully.
A certain match on stream in 2013, but we should be in for a fantastic series here.
Yeah, we're going to get right into the match. This is game 1, so this is going to be a best-of-3 set, but we're heading right into the match. Paul is going to lead with his Ludicolo and Salamence, immediately getting fake-out pressure onto the field, up against Aaron, who has his own Salamence and his Aegislash on the field, so double dragons on the field with a dancing pineapple and a shield and sword.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 Pokemon don't look much like dragons to me, but they're going to be very important through the battle between these dragons and trying to figure out who wins. Ludicolo has the power of that fake out there, which is going to make it difficult for Aaron Salamence to do much this year, I think, or this turn rather. Be a lot of fake outs to stop him for a whole year. So it's like we'll see a Protect in that slot, but both sides will know this. Taking a free shot at the Aegislash is definitely an option here. On the flip side, after that fake out's down, Aaron's not in bad shape, and Paul's going to switch himself and get ahead here.
Yeah, Paul's actually going to switch his Salamence right out, going to refresh that Intimidate if he needs it. Politoed on the field, activating the Drizzle. It's a beautiful day here in Indianapolis, but on the field it is pouring. So that's going to boost that Ludicolo's abilities, its speed, and its water-type attacks. Aaron's going to go ahead and immediately Mega Evolve his Salamence, going to get that Mega Salamence right on the field. Double Edge comes out. Paul did not go for the fake out, and Aaron went for a bold play. Double Edge, super effective on the Ludicolo, picks up the KO. That's a free KO, and now Aegislash against that Politoed might be able to do some work as well. Switches out of its shield form into the blade form, and Shadow Ball, that's a lot of free damage onto really the core of Paul's team. I mean, the Ludicolo goes down, and then that Politoed just taking so much damage from that Aegislash.
Yeah, that's a really bad turn for Paul, and a really fantastic turn by Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Both sides knew that Paul had the option of going for a fake out and whatever dragon type attack that Paul's Salamence might have. And you're firing those both on the Salamence on Aaron's side. So, the temptation then is to protect, try to play it safe. But, these guys have played each other a lot of times, right? They know a lot about each other's tendencies. And Aaron realizes, I've got a chance here. I can take a risk. I don't think Paul's going to expect me to be willing to do this.
Yeah.
And he gets a huge knockout.
Both real gutsy play there, too.
Absolutely. Gets rid of that Ludicolo and weakens the Politoed. We mentioned that Paul's famous for using that rain mode, but he's pretty much had the rain mode taken away from him. That Swift Swim using sweeper there. Ludicolo is out for this battle, and Politoed's pretty close to joining it. So fantastic position for Aaron. He's going to make a switch here.
Yeah, Salomon switching out. Paul did bring in his own Aegislash previously. Aaron bringing out the Tyranitar, now going to get rid of the only saving grace for Paul, which was that rain on the field. Kicks up the Sandstorm as Aaron's going to play a little bit defensively for this turn. King Shield comes out from his own Aegislash, going to make sure that it does not take any damage from the enemy Aegislash. Ice Beam comes out from Politoed onto that Tyranitar, of course. Not going to deal a whole lot of damage in the sand. And then Aegislash going to switch onto the Blade Form again. Will it be able to get an attack off? No! The Shadow Ball into the Protect from Aaron's own Sword and Shield.
Yeah, so good play again by Aaron. He seems to be a step ahead here. Tyranitar probably not a hugely important Pokemon in this game now. Ludicolo has already been knocked out, but one of the great things about Aaron having Tyranitar here is he can kind of play that weather war game and try to get that sand up to slow down the rain. Without Ludicolo, it's kind of not a huge deal, but Tyranitar gets in a pretty good position here to start dishing out some damage. We also see the Shadow Ball whiffing into the King Shield. I think that's kind of the fun of this battle now. You know, a lot of players will get gutsy with their Aegislashes once they're in sword form like that and just assume that their opponent will think that they will King Shield and keep attacking. Paul tries to get one back on Aaron there and catch him in sword form, but Aaron's wise this time and stays protected.
Yeah, and Aaron's keeping Paul on his back feet. Salamence comes back out in favor of the Politoed, so now Paul will be able to bring the rain back again. The Intimidate onto that Tyranitar could be pretty big as well, as Paul just going to try and hope for no damage coming out this turn. Another King Shield onto his own Aegislash. Tyranitar's Ice Beam, though, onto the Salamence slot. Intimidate's not going to help you out with that one, Salamence. That's a lot of damage. Salamence barely hangs on, but it's not going to survive after another tick of that sand damage. And there goes Salamence on the switch, and Ice Beam Tyranitar into that Politoed slot. Let's talk about gutsy plays.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the fun parts of that situation. Aaron managed to set himself up, and he knew that Politoed probably wanted to switch out and get that rain back going, so he had a relatively free shot there. Takes it and does huge amounts of damage. He gets rid of the probable Mega Pokemon on Paul's side without ever having to deal with it Mega Evolving, and he just built a huge lead in this game. Really, really impressive play by Aaron, and we see why he's 4-0.
Yeah, and Politoed's back out on the field, but that rain feels more like the tears of that Salamence that did not get a chance to do much of anything, and Paul's going to just go ahead and forfeit. Game one, doesn't want to give up any more information, knows that he's way too far behind to make the comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron made two huge plays there.
Such
I think
huge
when
plays.
you give up a handful of just big ones like that, it's tough to get it back. So, one of the great things about this tournament is that all matches are best of 3, so even though Paul kind of knows he got beaten a few turns there, he can still think about this and try to come up with a better plan for Game 2 and Game 3. And that could just come down to not taking the risks he did in the first game. Sometimes when you make those risky plays, you're going to get burned, and Aaron was just perfect on those that game. He really has a nice team for this matchup, too. He's got Amoonguss available to help him against Politoed and Ludicolo, and not as good against Salamence, but Tyranitar also able to help with that. I wouldn't expect to see his trademark Wash Rotom too much here unless he's expecting Paul to change his Pokemon. But he's got what he needs to get through this one, I think.
He's got a good team matchup, but he doesn't even need that if he keeps playing as well as he did that first game.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
We'll have to see if Aaron can keep up the momentum or if Paul can stage his comeback. He'll need to start in this Game 2, so we're going to hop right into the second match. So again, Paul is going to be running his trademark Rain team, that Politoed, Ludicolo, Salamence, Aegislash, Thundurus, and Terrakion, up against Aaron's Wash Rotom, Landorus, Amoonguss, Salamence, Tyranitar, and Aegislash. And again, there were a lot of really big plays that Aaron made, maybe coming from behind from a Pokemon disadvantage, matchup-wise. But since he made the plays, does he need to change anything?
Yeah, I don't know if he does. I mean, I think both his team, the way he played the match and the Pokemon he picked were probably right for him here. He might want to make some changes, only anticipating changes from Paul, maybe thinking that I've got to try some different things if I have to get 2 in a row against Aaron now. So I think that's the most likely thing we'll see. There is a big deal that we didn't get to see much information about Paul's 2 remaining Pokemon there.
They went down too quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean, even the 2 that I think the 2 that matter most here are Aegislash and Salamence. We didn't see the item on Aegislash where Aaron had to reveal his Life Orb there, which is somewhat of a rogue item, though something that's been picking up lately and caused a lot of problems for a lot of teams. Aaron did show that he's got that Ice Beam and Tyranitar, so it could be full special here. I think more likely than running something super mixed, other than probably having Rock Slide. So at least Paul kind of won the information game, but I don't know if that's worth losing a game as hard as he did there.
Yeah, well, Paul is making some adaptations here. His leads are in a much better position this time around. Aegislash and Thundurus up against Tyranitar and Salamence. I mean, that Aegislash alone, Salamence nor Tyranitar really wants to be up against that.
Yeah, absolutely. It can deal big damage to both of these Pokemon. We also see Thundurus coming in, so Paul not choosing to bring the same 4 Pokemon as the previous game, kind of as expected. Now, sometimes when you lose a game in best of 3 like this, unless you really had to pick 4 Pokemon, sometimes it just feels better as a player. Like, I'm going to try a different strategy, just kind of get momentum shifting a different way, kind of catch your Pokemon off guard, or opponent off guard. Hopefully their Pokemon also.
Aaron's Tyranitar was caught off guard, has to retreat in favor of Rotom, so the Wash Rotom does come back out. Let's see if it can make some plays this time and not send Aaron home as it did back in 2013. Salaman's going to Mega Evolve right away as well. Aaron, a big proponent of getting that Pokemon out on the field as soon as possible. Protects so that no rogue hidden powers come out from Paul's Thundurus, but King Shield from the Aegislash and Thunder Wave from Thundurus into the Protect. So, nothing really happening that turn. A little bit of chip damage from the Sand, and then getting the Mega Salamence and the Wash Rotom out.
Yeah, so a pretty good turn for Aaron there, though neither side really gives anything up. Aaron safely gets that Rotom in there, doesn't have to worry about anything horrible happening to his Tyranitar yet. And since Paul saw that Ice Beam in the previous game, King shielding with the Aegislash there, doesn't want to risk getting hit by a Dark Pulse or something like that. So I guess what that tells us mostly is that it's likely not weakness policy Aegislash, where you'd expect people to take that and then deal some big damage back. Aaron also wisely protecting Salamence this time. Realizing he's not going to get away with that 2 games in a row. Avoids being paralyzed, which is a huge deal, especially with both players having Mega Salamence as their Mega. Having one of them slowed down by a Thunder Wave is a good way to lose that mirror, so he's going to have to be very careful with it here, and I'd probably try to get that Thunder Wave on one of his other Pokemon if he thinks another one's coming in.
Yeah, it's also important information to know that Paul is trying to go for that Thunder Wave onto the Salamence. It just pretty much tells you that Salamence is in the back for Paul, but Aaron's is going to get paralyzed. So right away, going to cut the speed of Aaron's Salamence, but it is going to be able to get the Draco Meteor off. No full paralysis there. Draco Meteor onto Thundurus. That's going to deal a lot of damage. Salamence is no slouch, but neither is Thundurus. It tanks it with aplomb. And it eats its Citrus Berry, going to recover up a lot of that health back. Just going to sit around and be obnoxious to Aaron's team. Thunderbolt comes out from the Wash Rotom onto Thundurus. Rotom not powerful enough to take down that Thundurus as Aegis. Is going to be able to switch its stance into Blade form, get some damage off with the Shadow Ball, most likely onto that Salamence, trying to get it down as much as possible. Special defense drop helps, but more importantly, too slow right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Salamence going to be in trouble for the rest of the game here now. Pretty much anything on Paul's team should be quicker than it. So Aaron kind of gambled and lost there. I think he was probably expecting that Paul would choose not to Thunder Wave, anticipating Salamence switching out, kind of in a similar play to the first turn of the first game, but this time it doesn't pay off for him, though both Salamence and Thundurus taking big damage there. So perhaps Aaron just thinks that Thundurus is a big enough threat to be worth it.
Yeah, and Aaron's getting some flashbacks here. Paul's Thundurus with the swagger onto the Wash Rotom. We'll have to see if Rotom can pull through this time. It's confused. Is it going to be able to get an attack off? Yes, the Hydro Pump, but it misses. Aegislash avoids the Hydro Pump. Flash Cannon onto Salamence, going to pick up that KO, and now you have, Aaron. You can just see it on his face. He does not want this to happen again.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this movie. Rotom attacking through the swagger as it's prone to be hit with when on Aaron's team, and then missing an attack. So this is it's bringing me back. On the bright side for Aaron, unlike last time, I think kind of seeing progression from Aaron here. I think one of the mistakes he made in 2013, and I apologize for continuing to reference this match for those of you who haven't seen it, but he had a lot of trouble with a similar Thundurus then that was afflicting him with a great deal of Thunderwave and Swaggers. And one of the plays he made in that game, or perhaps didn't make in that game, was targeting down that Thundurus. He always focused on Thundurus' partner and kind of just let Thundurus roam free and keep swaggering all of his Pokemon. See, this time he's weakened the Thundurus, and even if he falls behind here, Thundurus shouldn't have too many more turns left in the field, so he has a much greater chance of a comeback. So I like the way he's playing this compared to last time. I think it was also cool to see the Draco Meteor from his Salamence. Most players are running it mixed now. For a while, we were seeing like special Salamence using Hyper Voice early in the season. Then we were seeing a lot of Dragon Dance Mega Salamence. Most players are running it mixed now with either Double Edge or Return, a second attacking move that is usually special like Fire Blast or Draco Meteor, and the last that's kind of a wild card. I've seen a decent bit of Earthquake. It just depends on what the players want to do. We see two of Aaron's moves here, which is good information for Paul, and we haven't seen any information with the other Salamence.
Yeah, and it looks like Aaron is starting to get a little scared. Aegislash comes out onto the field, and immediately protects itself. Paul also going to protect his own Aegislash, not going to let any damage come through on that Pokemon. Thunderwave onto the enemy Aegislash. Of course, King Shield protects against damage, doesn't protect against status. So now Paralysis and Confusion on Aaron's side. Rotom trying to get an attack off, does not make it through Confusion, hurts itself in its Confusion, takes a little bit of damage from the sand, plus the Confusion. So starting to slowly whittle down that Wash Rotom, which is very important for Paul, especially if he brought Rain in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. We still haven't seen two of his Pokemon. I still think it's more likely Mega Salamence is there, so we probably won't see the Rain mode, but if it's there, it could be set up very well when it comes out. We just see Thundurus slowly going down. Unless Politoed is in the back and wants to come help it, this should be Thundurus' last turn.
Yeah, and Thundurus isn't going to go down without a fight, just dealing a little bit of damage to Aaron's Aegislash. Rotom is going to be able to get an attack off. I hope through the Confusion, doesn't make the mistake of going for Hydro Pump. Thunderbolt a little bit more accurate. Manages to pick up the KO onto the Thundurus. So Thundurus off the field now, finally for Aaron. Paul is going to switch his own Aegislash going before Aaron's. Shadow Ball coming out onto Aaron's Aegislash. Picks up the KO through the shield form. A lot of damage coming out on Paul's side. And there goes the Sandstorm. So very important for Aaron actually to pick up that KO on Thundurus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. We do see Ludicolo coming in, so there is still that chance of the Rain mode being there, unless it's just Ludicolo and Salamence perhaps as the remaining Pokemon. Aaron has to bring in his Tyranitar, so if Politoed is in the back, he's going to lose the Weather War to the Politoed team. But I think that Thunderwave ends up being big on the Aegislash there. I'd assume that with a Life Orb, Aaron has likely trained his Aegislash to be quicker than Paul's. As we see, we still haven't seen the item yet. Leftover seems to be the most likely option, but Aegislash retreating here.
Yeah, Aegislash retreats for Politoed. It wouldn't be Paul without bringing the Rain. So now Ludicolo and Politoed. No Mega for Paul this game, just chooses to go with his Rain mode in the back. Ludicolo now in a good position. Tyranitar's Rock Slide is going to be able to come out onto Politoed and Ludicolo. Aaron might get some lucky flinches here. Rotom snaps out of Confusion. Thunderbolt onto Politoed. So predicts that switch, gets a lot of damage, gets the KO onto Politoed. So no more threat of water damage coming out from the Politoed, but there is still plenty of threat coming out from Ludicolo. That Scald, one-hit KO onto Tyranitar. And Ludicolo may look kind of silly dancing around like that, but it packs a punch.
Yeah, absolutely. Does some great damage there, and it should be all Paul needs to close out this game. And we do see a great play by Aaron to at least give himself a chance there, but no Rock Slide flinch for this one. So very likely Ludicolo should easily close this one out as a Grass-type Pokemon.
Yep, Giga Drain not able to pick up the KO on the Wash Rotom. So a little bit of information there. That Rotom pretty bulky. Pops the Citrus Berry too. So now Paul knows a little bit more about Aaron's Rotom. And Hydro Pump from Rotom is going to connect this time, so, Rotom proving that it can hit Hydro Pumps when it needs to. Unfortunately, it's a little too late for it right now.
Perhaps when it doesn't need to.
Yeah, when the pressure's not on, the Wash Rotom is 100% accurate. But Shadow Ball is going to pick that one up pretty easily, and all of a sudden, after that dominating Game 1, we got a series.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's what happens when you have two great players like this. Now, even when you're playing as well as Aaron does, the margin for error is razor thin against a great player like Paul. Both of them, we mentioned before, former senior national champions, both of them right on the edge of 5 wins, and that's a big deal in itself. It only takes a 7-2 record. I shouldn't say it only takes, right? But it's a 7-2 that these players are going to be working for to make it to play on Saturday. And winning here means you only need to close the game 2-2. And both these players more than capable of doing that. So very, very good odds of making it to the second portion of a tournament with a win here, and both of them are just a game away now.
Yeah, and it will be our final game 3 here. Paul Chua versus Aaron Zheng. We're going to hop straight into it. I just cannot wait to get started on it. I love talking to you, Scott, but more importantly, I want to watch some Pokemon. So again, we're going to be looking at it from Aaron's perspective. Paul will be on the top of your screen. With that Politoed, Ludicolo, Thundurus, Salamence, Aegislash, and Terrakion up against Aaron's Wash Rotom, Landorus, Amoonguss, Salamence, Tyranitar, and Aegislash. And, you know, the players know the teams. They're not even going to wait. They're just going to jump right into their leads.
Yeah, and I think that's something fun in a game 3 like this when you see both the players. You guys didn't get to see the team preview there, but it took about 30 seconds for both of them to pick their teams. And kind of some of the fun of that is that both of them knew going is exactly what they wanted to do, right? Like, there was no more thinking. Like, they both know what they think the right strategy for this third game is, and we should get a great nail biter here. Both sides confident, both sides have won a game. Which adjustment will work out here?
Yeah, and it looks like we have the Aegislash and Tyranitar for Aaron and the Ludicolo. And the Thundurus for Paul. Ludicolo not doing much of anything in game 1, but really coming up big that game 2 with just the pressure it put out on Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was really surprised to see that rain mode was in the back last game, and Ludicolo ended up getting to do a whole lot of work there. And Thundurus dominated the first half of the battle, so we're kind of seeing the 2 MVPs of the previous round here. On the flip side, Tyranitar's done some work too, and the struggle now for Aaron's going to be, there wasn't a Politoed led on the other side, so the sand is up, but a quick switch into Ludicolo and a Scald can knock Tyranitar out just as easily as it did in the last game. So Aaron's kind of on a back foot here. He's got to worry about Swagger and Aegislash as well. Needs to switch into better position without risking something like getting his Salamence paralyzed.
Well, it looks like Aaron is going to go ahead and risk that. Probably unlikely for Paul to target that slot with a Thunder Wave, but bringing the Salamence out is always dangerous, is going to eat a fake out from the Ludicolo, so finally showing it. Thunder Wave from Thundurus, though, onto the Aegislash again, so Salamence gets in reasonably scot-free. Aegislash taking that Thunder Wave, going to try for an attack here. We'll have to see if it can actually get through the paralysis. Yes, so Shadow Ball is going to connect onto the Thundurus, as you mentioned, just trying to target that down. A critical hit! Thundurus faints, 1-hit KO thanks to the critical hit, and now Salamence is in a great position.
Yeah, the pendulum kind of switching the other way here. It's a huge knockout. Thundurus is such a huge problem for Aaron in that first game, and now it's just gone. Also really seeing the power of that Life Orb. Most Aegislash, even with a critical hit, aren't able to knock out Thundurus. They're only trained significantly in special defense, and you aren't able to pick up that knockout into the crit. But that Life Orb was all he needed, and now Politoed's out in the field. It does have the advantage of getting that rain up, but Tyranitar is still healthy on the other side. However, it's going to be very tricky for Aaron to try to get that in now. It's pretty obvious that both of them, want to get this rain down, then start firing with Double Edge. Could see a Scald in that Aegislash slot. It seems like, protecting a switch into Tyranitar is the simplest play on Aaron's side. I doubt he will make it, and I also doubt Paul will let him do it if he does. So it's kind of those next level predictions. Is Salamence going to leave itself exposed, expecting focus on the other slot, with maybe an Ice Beam going to Salamence instead? Will Salamence get away with it? Like he did in the first game? Paul's probably going to be very hesitant to give Salamence any free turns after that, but tricky play here with Ludicolo getting to be faster, at least for this turn.
Well, Ludicolo is staying faster than Salamence because Salamence isn't on the field. Tyranitar now out, brings up the sand. Also going to make those water-type attacks a little bit less effective, so hopefully we'll be able to keep surviving. Double switch from Aaron. Aegislash also coming out in favor of the Rotom, really hoping to tank some Ice Beams or some Skulls on that Rotom slot. Ice Beam onto the Tyranitar deals a little bit of damage, and Rain Dance from Paul's Politoed. So manual rain coming out. One way to stop the sand.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really going to help Paul control the game.
It's huge.
Yeah, Tyranitar does a a lot to help win battles other than getting the sand up. But the Politoed, you pick him when you want rain. Like that's Politoed's job. So your rain dance really helps reinforce that and puts Ludicolo in fantastic position here. Doesn't lose control of the rain. Tyranitar's stuck on the field, so it's going to come in and out, or out and in, I guess.
At
to
least
get
2
the sand
turns.
back up. Yeah. And, you know, it's able to threaten super effective attacks of both these Pokemon. It could fire a Giga Drain on the Rotom, a Scald on the Tyranitar. Trying to switch Salamence in could be met with an
Very
Ice Beam.
dangerous.
At first, I thought Aaron made a really nice play there. You know, I was kind of expecting a Scald and an Ice Beam, and he would have resisted 1 and, you know, taken very little damage from the other, but that Rain Dance totally changes everything.
Yeah, Aaron has to switch out his Tyranitar because of that. Aegislash back out. Paul's going to switch out his Politoed as well. The Weather Wars are in full effect. So both Weather starters switching out in favor of the Aegislash. An Ice Beam back from the Ludicolo, trying to catch that Salamence on the switch in. Deals very little damage to the Aegislash. And then a Thunderbolt coming out from Wash Rotom on Aaron's side, dealing a little bit of damage to Paul's Aegislash.
Yeah, that little bit of damage on the Aegislash on Aaron's side could be a big deal here. Even with Sand back up now, I think it's pretty likely that a Scald and a Shadow Ball will be able to knock out that Aegislash for Aaron. And, you know, getting one more Shadow Ball off with it is a big deal. He's going to try to find a way to get one more big attack here and do some damage.
Yeah, it's going to be a nail biter here, as you see the Wash Rotom and Aegislash, and the Aegislash and Ludicolo squaring off on each side of the arena. Of course, Aaron's taking his time on this one. This is probably the deciding moment in this. Match.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if it's not this turn, it's definitely, you know, one of the next couple. So both sides need to be very careful here. They don't want to do anything silly that'll prevent them from getting that big 5-0 record.
Oh, Paul's Ludicolo goes for the Ice Beam onto Wash Rotom, but Aaron keeps both of it. His Pokemon in, not going to be able to catch anything out on the switch. Another Thunderbolt from Wash Rotom onto Aegislash. Paul's sword is going to go into the Blade form, gets its Shadow Ball off. Is it going to target Aaron's Aegislash again with that Life Orb? Does pick up the KO. Aegislash faints on Aaron's side, and it goes down without doing anything this game.
It looks like a very, very frail Aegislash on Aaron's side. With the Life Orb, it's not that surprising, but sometimes people still choose to train at least a little bit of the hit points or the special defense. We don't see that here, so even the more defensive Aegislash able to pick up that knockout with just a little bit of damage. And Aaron's kind of in a tough spot now. Can't get both Tyranitar and Salamence in here, so Ludicolo still going to get to enjoy that rain for another turn without a great way for Aaron to do anything about it.
Yeah, the sand does drive away the rain this time, but for how long? Paul, we know, switched out that Politoed earlier just for such an occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't be surprising to see that get brought in very quickly again to try to keep that control. You know, and Aaron's, he's got to try to find a way to probably pick off that Politoed as it comes in. That's really his only hope. You know, a double target, perhaps something like a Dark Pulse if Tyranitar has it, and a Thunderbolt. Should be able to pick up that knockout if he gets the opportunity, but, you know, at what risk? You know, if Aegislash just King Shields instead, you know, if Ludicolo gets a free Giga Drain or a Scald in the rain for it, you're paying a lot to try to get that knockout.
Oh, Paul switches out the Aegislash, so in comes Politoed. Is Aaron going to be able to pick up the KO onto this Politoed here? Drizzle back in effect, so the sand is gone. Tyranitar is going to be a little bit weaker to any type of water type attacks. Goes for the Rock Slide, really wants a flinch this turn. Deals good damage to both Pokemon. Thunderbolt from Rotom onto the Politoed. Is it going to pick up the KO? Yes, Politoed finally goes down, but at what cost? Is Tyranitar going to be able to stick around? Ludicolo uses Ice Beam, trying to predict a switch to that Salamence. So no, Tyranitar gets to stick around. Ludicolo enjoying the rain, but in a little bit weaker position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's still a big play. Aaron getting that knockout puts him in great position here. I think both sides can easily still win this game, but Aaron's now the one with the advantage. If he can find a way to get the sand up and get Salamence in safely, he's probably going to win the game, but that would require two big plays for him here. However, he doesn't have to do that, right?
Right.
Just catching Ludicolo now, trying to Giga Drain Rotom, for instance, would probably be enough to he's getting very close to being knocked out if he can't do it directly. So he's got to play safe here. There's a number of ways that Aaron can win the game. Either by getting Salamence in without the rain up is probably ending it. Otherwise, just trying to protect, get those free hits on either of these Pokemon to close out the game since he has the advantage now.
Yeah.
Now on Paul's side, he's not out of it either. He's got to take his time here and make sure he makes the right move. But a quick Ice Beam could even this game up.
Oh, Aaron switches out his Tyranitar for Salamence. Paul's been trying to hit that switch in the entire game. Salamence now out on the field. Did Ludicolo go for the Ice Beam again? Giga Drain from Ludicolo onto the Wash Rotom. It's going to deal some damage to it, but it's not going to take out that Salamence. So now Aaron may just have had the opportunity he's been looking for. All game, stand up and Salamence out, a slower Ludicolo. Hydro Pump from Rodon isn't going to miss. It's going to connect onto the Aegislash. Aegislash in its sealed form does not go down, just barely hangs on. Going to try and get its damage off as much as possible. Flash Cannon from the Aegislash is going to connect onto the Salamence, dealing a good amount of damage, not quite enough. Salamence just sticking around with 25 HP. This is going to be a nail biter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be close. Aaron now, he's got to look for the Protect, switch that Tyranitar in, get that double edge of Ludicolo. Salamence will definitely go down to recoil there, so this is going to be close. But Aaron should be able to close this one out now. He's got the advantage, so he needs to play safe, keep Rotom around to help deal with Aegislash and not do anything silly.
Yeah, Tyranitar is out, but now he's also going to have to worry about the sand damage as well with Salamence being so low. Sand going to cut that Ludicolo. Speed way down. Mega evolving, probably mega evolving into a Protect, I would hope. All of that work for naught here. Salamence mega evolves, does go for the Protect, not going to risk anything here. Salamence just waiting around to see what Paul did. Scald into the Salamence slot, a Protect, Shadow Ball into the Tyranitar slot. Tyranitar not going to take much damage from that at all. And now Aaron has both Salamence and Tyranitar out and Wash Rotom in the back against a Ludicolo and an Aegislash in the sand.
That looks like Salamence, if it needs to, can take another turn of sand damage also. So better yet for Aaron. Kind of a strange play by Paul there, sort of, but I think he was just kind of realizing that if Aaron makes the correct play, gets Tyranitar in here and protects, there's really not much he can do. So you have to hope that Aaron does something silly and then try to punish that mistake. With Salamence out here now, Ludicolo almost never carries Protect, typically chooses to use Scald, Ice Beam, Giga Drain and Fake Out, all of which we've seen. So
Yep.
Ludicolo is going to have to go down to the double edge here, and either Tyranitar or Rotom could finish off this Aegislash.
Oh, and there's the forfeit from Paul. Aaron Zheng in 3 games is going to take it over Paul, moves on to 5-0. But of course, that's not the last we've seen of Paul. He is now 4-1. Tournament still alive. Needs to win 3 more matches, and he can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely a player who's won this tournament in the senior division, more than capable of just making it to the second day. That was a really impressive.